The Tamron 17-28 was the best lens released in 2019. It's reasonably priced, has a decent build quality, and optically, it's darn near as good as lenses that cost twice, if not more. How does it do all this, and should you get one to create your own online content? Let's find out. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. The ultra wide angle lens is very popular for creating video online. It's popular for vloggers because when you're talking to the camera like this, you don't get stuck with just somebody's face. Like this. And it's also popular for indoor YouTubers, you know, as indoor cats, because when you have a wide angle, you get to show off how cool your studio space is. Mine, you know, looks a little different, so we keep it zoomed in just a little bit more. The Tamron, though, does go outside normal conventions for ultra wide in the focal ranges. Most are 16-35, and this is 17-28, so you do lose a little bit on both ends. For me personally, it isn't that big of a deal. 35mm is my favorite focal length, and I use that with a prime lens like right now. And while I'd like 16, I also don't want to spend that money to get 16, especially at 2.8. So where I break camera videos down into 3 major sections, today we're going to break down the lens video into a similar number, but we're going to call the labels something different because why not? So we're going to talk about build quality, image quality, and how does this fit into the lens ecosystem of the E-mount, because unfortunately I still haven't found that one perfect lens that can do everything. We hope though. That Lumix 10-25 does come awfully close. And before we get too far into the video, let's pop this lens camera combination up on the tripod so you can basically see how good this could be as a YouTube lens. As we talk about the other aspects of the lens, a lot of it will be, you know, still focused around YouTube. Okay, see you in a second. Now we are on that full framey ultra wide goodness. So first up, let's talk build quality. Now you'd think that a budget lens, and I say budget lens with big air quotes because it is $900, but if you've never delved into the insanity of full frame mirrorless lens prices, they can be pricey. The build quality on display here is pretty darn good. The lens isn't metal, unfortunately, but it still feels amazing. It does have a metal lens mount and full electronic controls with the Sony cameras. It also has a 67mm filter thread, which coincidentally works with like all of the filters on all of my current lenses. So I love it. That gives me a smiley face when everything is so interoperable. Focus ring feels great and the zoom is smooth and fluid. And I actually like that they use composite materials here and not all metal because the lens is super lightweight, weighing in at 14.82 ounces or 420 grams. Internal to the lens is Tamron's XLD and LD elements, which according to their press release, produces a highly corrected image with reduced chromatic aberrations and color fringing for improved clarity and color accuracy. So what does that mean? Who cares, right? Like, what does their press release talking about chromatic aberration, what does that mean? Something that you can find on these wide angle lenses is chromatic aberration. If you don't know what CA is, imagine like that bad old school 3D glasses, you know, you got the red and the blue, and you can get that all over the place, like on the edges, and basically it's bad. You don't really get chromatic aberration here, but enough of that. We're kind of stepping on the image quality toes right now. I don't want to talk about that right now other than the elements keep it from happening. The last thing build quality wise I want to mention is the autofocus motor built into the lens is their RXD or rapid extra silent stepping drive. It's not RXD. Autofocus, which we'll talk about more in image quality, but for this part of the video I want to mention that it's darn near silent in use. One of the problems, and something that the third parties, Sigma in particular, sometimes have problems with, is really noisy autofocusing motors inside of the lenses. Here, not so much. Can you even hear it? I can't hear it, and I'm in a pretty darn soundproof basement right now. Okay, now on to how the darn thing actually looks. And to put it bluntly, it looks really good. I'm not much when it comes to technical image quality on any of my cameras / lenses. I'm an online content creator, and cameras and lenses long ago, like way long ago, passed good enough for my purposes. But I look for gear that's easy to use and easy to dial in that will help me crank out my content and fit inside of my workflow, and this lens easily fits into my workflow. Like we mentioned, it's an f2.8 constant zoom, so you do get a little bit of that blurry background if you're using this as a vlogging / talking head lens. We very recently switched to a seamless paper background, and You can't really tell the difference between whether it's blurry or not, but when we go outside, you'll see that it does look. This lens is super sharp, and in the most technical I'm ever gonna get, here's a shot of my backyard. And really quickly, unpopular opinion, but I shoot everything wide open. If I wanted a slower lens, I'd buy a slower lens. I know, most people step down. Here across the width of the shot, it looks fantastic. Both the center and the corners, it looks great. But you know what? Who cares? For YouTube videos, nobody cares. It's just about the gear that's easy to use, and the autofocus motors work fantastic with Sony's phase detection autofocus. I've never had a problem with missed focus or dropped focus, and that's a real testament to what Tamron's been able to engineer here. And if you step back, like let's step back from this specific lens, even though this is a video about this specific lens, what I really want to say is this is an overall showing that companies of all types have been making in the E-mount. It may not be the technical superior lens mount if you read all the online Discord where Nikons and Canons are supposed to be the cutting edge of imaging mount solutions. The money is actually developing affordable lenses. Like where that money is, it's on the E-mount. But it's not a super wide angle lens talked about on YouTube without some kind of vlogging test thrown in the middle of it. And we're doing this on YouTube, and I do vlogging tests, so it works out perfectly. Let's go do it. Okay, and welcome to the, I know we normally do like vlogging tests when it comes to like cameras, but this is a new thing that I did want to do with this lens because ultra wides like this are very good to use as like a vlogging style lens because you can see everything around. Like so this is 24 millimeters on like, which is about as wide as you could get with a traditional lens. So these ultra wides give you the ability to see much more. And this Tamron 17-28, while I do wish it could push back a little bit more in that 16 territory, I still think 17 is perfectly wide enough. And while there's no stabilization built into this lens, if you use it on something like the A7 III here, it will give you decent enough stabilization. And I am, as we saw in the vlogging test with the Sony A7 III, I'm not actually using a tripod, I'm not actually using a gimbal or anything like that. This is just straight up handheld. And as this is a lens test as opposed to the camera test, just look at how crisp this is. Like everything, there's not very much distortion going on with the camera at all. I find that the lines, like the trees, should be very straight. It shouldn't have like a bowed or warped, anything like that. I'm just very, very impressed by this lens. This lens is, again, I think it is the best lens released in 2019, especially if you're trying to talk to a camera, if you're trying to do a lot of the work to a camera and you're a solo content creator, because this gives you the ability to see everything but look great, have a little bit of a blurry background, because, you know, everything looks a little bit better with a blurry background. Okay, you may notice that this was done like back to back from the A7 III vlogging test because I've got movers coming like real soon, and I don't have to, like, we're trying to fit everything in before I have to like hop from one spot to the next spot. So this has been the, not vlogging test, the outdoor image quality test in use of the Tamron 17-28. See you back inside. And we're back. Seriously, how impressive is that autofocus, sharpness, and just usability? This lens, off script here for a second, this lens easily is what keeps me in the E-mount system. I think it's incredibly versatile as a wide angle on a full frame, but you could also use this as a 25-ish to 42-ish zoom lens on an APS-C Sony camera, basically making this one of the most versatile lenses on the market. How does this compare to other options in the E-mount system? Well, your other real choices for wide angle like this are the 16-35 f4, the 16-35 2.8 G Master, and maybe the 10-18 f4 APS-C lens if you just have to have that wide angle and don't care about the aperture. Well, let's do a quick price comparison. The 16-35 f4 is $1,248. Yikes, that's $350 more than the Tamron, and it's only f4. It does have stabilization built into it, so if you require a little more stabilization, that might be worth the extra money, plus that extra 1mm and the extra zoom. The 16-35 GM, which is an amazing piece of glass, is $2,200. That costs more than the A7 III cost me. It is a class-leading wide-angle lens. I don't have anything bad to say about it, except that price. And the 10-18 is a 15-28-ish equivalent lens with an f4 and IS built into it, and it'll set you back, depending on the sale that you find it on, between $700 to $900. It is super compact, and it is a favorite of mine, but that kind of money, gets you the Tamron. Fairness for fairness sake, I haven't been on the level with the competition here. Those Sony lenses are great, but the Tamron here gets you 80% of the way for less than 50% of the cost of the G Master, or $300 less than the F4 version. I cannot believe what Tamron was able to pull off here. I think I've said that like 3 times so far in the video. And something else I can't believe is that I had 1,300 words to say about a lens. I rarely talk about lenses. I'm mostly a camera body guy. But at the end of the day, so what, right? Why do I think the Tamron 17-28 f2.8 is the best lens of the year when it was a great year for lenses? To earn that top spot, it had to do something that no other lens in the market could do what it does. And there is not another lens in the market that does what this does. At this price point, this is the best lens you can get hands down. Like I said in the video, this lens is what brought me back and what keeps me in the Sony ecosystem. It's fantastic, it's well priced, and darn it, I just like it for what it does. What do you think though? Should we cover more lenses here on The Everyday Dad? Leave me a comment below and I'll try to get my hands on more of them. Also, if you liked this video, I bet you'd like the one where I talk about how the camera that this lens lives on, the Sony a7 III, holds up after the rush of awesome cameras in 2019. Click here to check it out. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.